We begin right now with breaking news for you, everyone. Good evening. I'm Kristen Farley. An officer is in the hospital and a suspect still on the run tonight after a shooting in northeast Knoxville. It happened at the Target off of Washington Pike just before 9 o'clock tonight. Now, WATE 6 on your side anchor Ryan O'Donnell is at UT Medical Center where the officer was transported earlier this evening. Ryan, I know we are still waiting on possibly a news conference from KPD, but what can you tell us right now?
No, that's exactly what we're doing right now. It can happen actually at any point, and we're now hearing that Knoxville Police Chief David Roush is going to come down here and address the issue, what's been going on here. But what I can tell you about here at UT Medical Center is, yes, that officer has been brought here. We've been out here for a couple of hours already. That officer was already here by the time we got here. There were several Knoxville police officers here at the time, but at this moment they have left. And instead, we've got Knox County Sheriff's deputies that have appeared to have taken their place here outside of the medical facility. Now, we know very little about the officer involved in this shooting. What we know is he or she was shot in the arm, and we are being told, thankfully, that he or she should be okay after all of this. Now, again, things have certainly quieted down since this whole thing started at about 8:30 this evening. And again, we are waiting right now for Chief Roush to come down here and fill us in more about the officer itself and the suspect who is on the loose right now. I'm assuming that all the other officers have left here to go hunt down the suspected shooter. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Ryan, we will check back in with you a little bit later. We do now want to head over to WATE 6 on your side reporter Kelly Rinke. She has been at the actual shooting scene since we first heard about this earlier tonight. She joins us now live. And Kelly, describe what has been going on there in the last few hours.
Well, Kristen, they've been clearing up the scene just within the last couple of minutes, but a tow bed a couple minutes ago came by and it looks like they're towing one of the Knoxville police patrol cars out of the scene. But it was a much different scene a couple hours ago. Take a look at this video that we took for you. I counted at least 15 patrol cars here when we first got here a couple of hours ago. Officers were mostly focusing on a white car that was parked in the middle of the street here on Washington Pike. They were walking around it, taking photos. Officers were also asking a group of bystanders here if they saw anything, heard anything. I spoke to one woman who said she wasn't here when it happened, but she was driving by, saw a bunch of flashing lights. It made her a bit worried because she lives nearby. Take a listen at what she had to say.
Obviously feeling bad for the officer and his family and for the law enforcement community here, but also knowing that it's been happening a lot around the country lately, and just knowing that it's happening so close to home is scary.
And we also saw plenty of police activity on Tazewell Pike. My photographer and I were parked in a parking lot of a business when we saw several Knoxville police officers grab their waistband. They were sprinting to their patrol cars. About 5 of them took off on Tazewell Pike. We're still trying to figure out if that is related to this shooting incident here. But again, the suspect is still on the run. Reporting live in Knoxville, Kelly Rinke, WATE 6 on your side.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much for that update there. And several other local police departments have posted on social media that they are keeping the officer in their thoughts and prayers right now. Sevier County Sheriff's Office saying, quote, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the KPD officer who was shot this evening, his family, and the entire Knoxville Police Department." And Morristown Police also tweeting saying, quote, "Thoughts and prayers with KPD and the officer's family." And of course, we're going to continue to stay on top of this and bring you updates throughout this newscast as well as online. Now we want to turn our attention to another big story tonight, the weather. And Ken, some places could see some pretty serious weather tomorrow.
Exactly right, Kristen. Kind of everything, a hodgepodge, if you will. We've got scattered light rain showers now across the area, almost like a drizzle. Some heavier rain east from Gatlinburg up through southwest Virginia. And very mild conditions. We're 56 degrees in Knoxville right now at our studios, 54 in Gatlinburg, Wartburg, and 55 in Fairfield Glade. And it will stay mild tonight. Biggest concern, at least overnight into early tomorrow morning, would be some patchy dense fog. We're already seeing that now, so be careful. Otherwise, we're seeing temperatures drop only in the low 50s, so a very mild night tonight. Areas of fog and light rain, temperatures warming into the upper 50s by lunchtime, and shortly thereafter, showers, even some rumbles of thunder can't be ruled out before some much colder air moves in later in the day, especially after the evening commute. And yeah, some of us could see some scattered snow showers with light accumulations. Show you the map coming up in just a minute, Kristen.
All right, Ken, thank you so much. Well, it seems like Cumberland County gets pummeled by Mother Nature every winter. And with this next system right around the corner, road crews there were busy getting their plan of attack ready. That is why the Cumberland County Road Department is watching the weather closely, having their trucks loaded up with salt, sand, and a chip mix right now. Crews busy also attaching plows earlier today to their trucks. The Cumberland County Road Department has been prepping for this winter weather since November. Road crews cannot pre-treat routes in Cumberland County with brine, but when they're working in ice or snow, they do focus on those dangerous spots first.
As long as you got your equipment ready and your manpower ready, then that's all you need.
The Cumberland County Road Department works closely, by the way, with emergency management and the National Weather Service to monitor winter weather storms. As of right now, we're told all road crews are on standby. Well, with the colder weather on the way for Tennessee, TDOT wants drivers to also know they are prepared as well. TDOT says workers spend months preparing for this kind of weather. Right now, the department has 229,000 tons of salt and 1.6 million gallons of salt brine ready to treat our roadways. Also, there are 800 snow trucks statewide designed to make sure that the roads stay clear. There are just over 200 of those trucks here in the Knoxville area, in case you were wondering. Department telling us they keep a close eye on the road conditions and they do mobilize their crews as needed. Well, some new numbers showing just how bad the flu season is right now. UT Medical Center already surpassing last January's mark for flu cases. And only a week and a half into the month, keep that in mind. UT saying it is testing more than 40 people a day right now for the flu. And as early as yesterday morning, 53 people had tested positive. Compare that to January of last year, 38 were positive tests for the entire month. UT also sending out some statewide data, the number of counties with flu activity appearing to have leveled off, and the number of positive flu cases is trending downward, we're being told. Now, we're also hearing from a physician assistant at Summit Express Clinic. There, a third of the patients in the last 3 days, a third of them have tested positive for flu.
It is overwhelming and concerning, especially since most of the children are going back into school this week. So we're just educating people that if they do have flu-like symptoms or if they feel like they have the flu, to stay home and avoid others because it is extremely contagious. They have to be kind of fever, ache, chill-free for at least 24 hours before they go out and they're not considered contagious.
All right, everyone, we do want to get you back to that breaking news right now concerning the officer-involved shooting. As we've been telling you, an officer transported to UT Medical Center. That is where they're getting ready to begin a news conference right now with Knoxville Police Chief David Roush. He is getting ready to address the media after that shooting that happened earlier this night in front of the Target store on Washington Pike. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Yeah, Kristen, we're just setting up here, getting ready to hear from what Chief Roush has to say about tonight's shooting. He just walked over here. He came out of the hospital and hopefully fill us in on the latest on what's going on in this shooting and the search for a suspect here, and of course how the officer is doing this evening.
Okay, is everybody? Yeah, you got. Are we rolling? Okay, all right. So. This evening at about 8:30 p.m., we got notified that we had an officer involved that has been shot. So to give you a little bit of detail, at least what we know right now at this point. So the officer was attempting a traffic stop, and the individual fired a round at the officer. The vehicle stopped, and what we know at this point is that there were multiple rounds fired at the officer. The officer was hit one time, and at this point he's okay. He's stable. He took one shot to the shoulder, but he's doing okay. I just talked with him, talked with his family. He's in great spirits, so it's good to know. It's good news for us. We are still looking for the suspect. The suspect is at large. And he is considered armed and dangerous. His name is Ronnie Lucas Wilson. 4/7 of '86 is his date of birth. Mr. Wilson is in our database. We are familiar with him, and law enforcement is familiar with him. He is listed as a member of the Aryan Nations gang, and he also currently has an outstanding warrant for a violation of probation for aggravated assault. And we understand that that charge actually initially was attempted murder. Obviously, we are seeking an attempted murder warrant on him as we speak for what he did tonight. The officer is Officer Jay Williams. Jay is a 14-year veteran with the police department, and again, like I said, Jay's doing well. He's fine. His family's with him, and everything seems to be going well as far as that's concerned.
Hey, Chief Rush, what about the neighbors, the residents there in northeast Knoxville? What do you have to say to them tonight?
Well, I think what's important right now is for everyone in our community to be safe, to understand that we have an individual that is out, that is dangerous. There is a vehicle that we are looking for. He's driving a mid-90s model, black Chevy Nova that has a red stripe. I'm sorry, mid-70s model, black Chevy Nova that has a red stripe on the hood. That's the vehicle the suspect fled the scene in, and so we are looking for that vehicle. If someone sees that vehicle, please notify law enforcement immediately. Do not attempt to intervene. Let law enforcement handle this. If he is going to take a shot at an officer, he won't hesitate to shoot at anyone else. And so we ask that folks, if you see the vehicle, if you know this individual, then do not try to intervene. Call law enforcement. Let us know where he is.
How many law enforcement agencies are currently searching for him? Have you expanded the search area beyond just KPD?
The information has gone out throughout the region. There's a lot of information that we're receiving, and then a lot of information we're putting out, and so obviously all law enforcement in this region has been made aware, and I can tell you that statewide, everyone is very familiar.
What was the response from KPD officers, from Knox County sheriffs, if they responded as well after you heard that this happened?
Yeah, obviously when you have, the officer got on the radio and gave the code that we have for an officer that has been shot, and as soon as that goes out, everybody in the area responds, and so it was a large response, obviously, and again, we continue to hunt for the suspect.
And if anybody happens to spot him, they can remain anonymous when they call in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to provide your information. Just tell us what you know and tell us where you see the suspect.
The officer that was shot, you said he was shot in the shoulder. How bad were his injuries?
Yeah, so it's he's stable. I don't want to go too much detail, but he's stable. It appears that they'll be able to treat him hopefully tonight, and may be able to get released tonight. He's gone back for some more testing, so we'll see.
It might be too early to get into this, but do we know specifically how it happened? Was it at the beginning of a traffic stop? Was it at the end? When did it happen, the shooting?
Yeah, so as I said, when the officer attempted to pull the individual over, he fired a round from the vehicle while it was moving, and then when the traffic stop happened, he fired continuously at the officer.
So you're saying both vehicles were moving at the time, and he shot back at the officer, and then multiple fires?
Right, well, first, initially fired one round, stopped, and got out and fired more.
Do we know if he was alone in the car?
That I don't have completely at this point, and so I don't know the detail on that at this point.
But as of right now, you're searching for one suspect?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Did the officer get the fire back?
I'm sorry?
Did the officer fire back?
The officer, as far as I'm aware, we did not, he did not fire his weapon, no.
Why was the traffic stop initiated?
The traffic stop was initiated for a speeding violation.
Do you know what type of gun was used? Shotgun?
I've been told that it was a shotgun.
Okay. Did a off-duty paramedic take the officer to UT Med?
No. As I understand, he was loaded into a police vehicle and brought to the hospital immediately.
Hey, you brought up a shotgun. Did he use the shotgun the entire time, or did he have multiple weapons that you're aware of at this point?
Yeah, I'm not aware, but my understanding is it was a shotgun throughout the incident.
Well, Chief Rush, thank you very much. I'm glad your officer is okay. So, Kristen, we're going to put up some of those details on our website later, talk about a little more in the newscast here. Hopefully someone out there can recognize him and see him. And again, if you do happen to see the suspect, Chief Roush saying adamantly, do not try to communicate with them or anything. Call police right away. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. And just to kind of reiterate what Chief Roush was just saying, everyone, the suspect that they are still looking for right now in this officer-involved shooting is Ronnie Lucas Wilson. He was last seen leaving the scene in a mid-70s black Chevy Nova with a red stripe. Very distinctive car, a mid-70s black Chevy Nova with a red stripe. Again, they are looking for him. Do not approach him. He's considered armed and dangerous, saying that he fired several rounds at the officer. The good news tonight, we have learned the officer, a 14-year veteran of KPD, Jay Williams, is in stable condition with one gunshot wound to the shoulder area. You heard the chief say he is expected to be okay, possibly even getting released tonight. So some relief in that regards. But again, we're going to stay on top of this breaking news, continue to keep you updated here. Right now, we do need to take a quick break.